Welcome to Create Your Own Fantasy Animal. Today I'd like to get started by thinking about what animals maybe you would want to combine the two, or maybe you would want to make some weird exotic animal so you can tell a really cool story about it. I mean, after all, it is the summer of tales and tales. So to get started, you'll have to make some paper mache paste. That's easy with some water, salt, and flour. First up, you'll want to do 3 tablespoons of salt. 1, 2, and 3. Next up, you'll need a measuring cup to do 1 cup of flour. We just keep our flour in a Ziploc when we're not using it for anything that we're trying to do with our crafts or other fun. So, I've got my cup of flour, kind of stuck in there. Pat that right on out. Put that to the side. And then you'll notice that I have some water. Now the recipe for really good paste for doing paper mache, which is just ripped up newspapers put inside of this paste that we're going to make. Right now this is just the dry part of it. Once we add some water to it, we're going to get to a consistency of like a glue. Okay, kind of a pasty kind of a glue. All right, so let me just dump a little in there. Now, if for some reason you got excited and you put a little bit too much, you can always add more flour. Right now this looks more kind of like a clumpy dough, doesn't it? So add a little bit more water. And you'll just keep on giving it a little stir until you decide that you've done okay. And I've been really cautious about not putting too much water in there. I know I can always add more flour if I needed to, but it still is good to be cautious. So I was thinking maybe my fantasy animal, I might add maybe 3 legs. Maybe it'll have some funky little arm or something. And you're probably wondering, Miss Wendy, how exactly you're going to do this? Well, I'm glad you asked. It'll be with a balloon. I also have this paper tube that I thought maybe if I use some scissors I can cut it up, and once I blow up this balloon I can use some tape and tape it on there as my base to add the paper mache to. I'll show you that in a bit. But first let's get this paste, or this paper mache glue, ready to rock and roll. Okay, still a little bit clumpy and dry, and that's okay. We're going to add some more liquid. Okay, we're kind of almost there. We're going to be sticking our hands in this. I know it sounds weird, so I took my rings off. I don't want anything to happen to my rings. It gets all gummed up in there. All right, kind of looking good. I just wanted to get some of those lumps out of there, and it looks pretty good. Still a little couple lumps, and that's okay. We're going to smooth out those lumps and bumps as we go along, and that's all right. All right, so that was step 1, making your paper mache paste. There was other recipes out there that you could just use glue and water. So if you're someone who's not able to use flour, or maybe you just don't have flour, you're missing some salt, this is another way to go with it. Okay, what I've done next is I blew up a balloon, because I think that will make a pretty good body for my fantasy animal. And then I took some tape and I pre-stuck it down, so that's good. And now all I've done is I cut that paper tube, so now see how it's like open. And I remembered I mentioned something about having 3 legs or 3 offshoots to it. So I don't know, I just thought maybe if I had that kind of cut open, maybe it'd be easier to cut. It's your design, you decide how you want it to go. Another thought I had was maybe I'd cut off a little extra so I could make some kind of a fun nose or something. So I'm gonna leave that exposed as well. Okay, so I'm gonna figure out what am I gonna do to construct this leg. Maybe if I do something like that. Let me see how it would fit on the balloon too. Try to make it as easy as pie. Maybe it's too wide. And you can be doing all this as you construct. Maybe I needed it to be a little bit skinnier. So, all right, well, with that in mind, trying to figure out how to best do this, it's gonna be lots of fun. You'll be doing a little bit of engineer design, so things as they fit or don't fit. And I was thinking, how will I get this to stay on my balloon? So maybe I need to cut down a little bit and make little flaps so that I can tie it on my balloon or tape it on my balloon. See, like that. Maybe that's what I need to do. Now remember, you're going to be covering this all with paper mache, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just a way to make the bottom part of the base of your fantasy animal. So far I've got one little leg, and I think I want it to be able to balance. And I noticed there's also this piece here, so I don't know, maybe that will become my nose. So I gotta think about that a little bit. Or maybe that should be the tail. Yeah, that could be my tail. That's what I'm gonna do. All right, you can do whatever you want. Miss Wendy is just trying anything on her own here, and I appreciate you viewing this to get some ideas and inspiration as well. Just gonna tack that down like so. And as we figured out with the other one, we needed to make some flaps so we could tape it. And there we go. Awesome. Okay, so if that stands like that, then I'm thinking maybe the other leg should be over here, right? Is that what we think? Okay. We can make adjustments as we go, no problem. And I know I mentioned the engineer design process, and that's like really any kind of creative process works that way. As you are setting stuff up, you might find that you need something to work a certain way and it didn't, so you go back to the drawing board and you start over, right? Okay, so let's see here. I think I need another leg, because I wanted it to be kind of a silly three-legged kind of thing. So I'm going to continue on with the third leg here, and I'll be back. And who says that your fantasy animal can't have wings? Begin to cut the strips for the paper mache out of old newspaper, 1 inch wide and maybe about 4 inches in length. And now we're back for the actual pasting or paper macheing onto our object. I'm just going to do a quick little stir of my paste. It's been sitting for a little while I've been prepping everything else. I've been just using my measuring cup to put my spoon aside. And I cut, as you know, several pieces of the paper. And now we'll stick it right in. This is where it gets good and messy, friends. And I hope that parents will see just how much fun this can be. So what you can do is you take your 2 fingers like this and pull off the excess like that. Okay, so you want it wet but not soppy. And I think I'm going to start right here on my wings, and you just smooth it out with your finger and you just keep working your way down. Dunk in your strips and pull off the excess. And it's going to be really soggy, so it might rip, and that's okay too. And you want it to cover all of your balloon and whatever legs, wings, noses, whatever you decided to put on your fantasy animal. And again, all you're doing is just smoothing it out, and you can see it's just getting really floppy because it's a balloon, right? And it's getting heavy on that side, I think. So might take a little bit of patience. We all know all about that, right? Okay, so I'm gonna keep going with this and I'll continue on, and I'll have you join me back in just a moment. I wanted to come back and share with you how to kind of do the joints, or like where to connect. So what I did is I covered the top and then I wrapped around on the outside. And then as far as getting it to stay down for more security, just kind of wrap it there and slide it down. And I'll get another strip and do the same on the other side. It's going to be important to do that so that the joints stay connected. The joints of the legs in this case stay connected with the base of the body, which was the balloon. So I'm going to do it again over on this side, and probably again over on this side, and then I should be able to cover the rest with strips. So it should work just fine. What's nice is I have this tripod that I'm leaning it against. So you might find you need a friend to help you hold it up, or maybe you have a bowl you could rest it inside of to keep it from falling. And that's really it as far as adding on the joints. Still very sloppy and messy. This project is not for friends who don't like to get messy, that's for sure. If you're somebody like me who likes to get messy, well, lots of fun then, isn't it? And now, my friends, that you have the whole thing covered, I also determined that things get really soggy, and so those legs needed to be kind of standing upright as it dried, because otherwise it was so wet it just kind of went whoop, like it lost its legs. So I'm gonna let it dry for a long time like this, and then in a couple hours I'll flip it over to the side a little bit so that the other part that's on the table currently can dry. It's going to take some time to dry, especially if you really got it nice and wet. Time to clean up. And I know it seems like it was really quick and I was able to start painting, but it took a day, almost 2 days for it to dry. Next, you're going to want to cover the whole object with white acrylic paint. This took some time and some patience as well. Boy, there's lots of surfaces here. The white is really nice to cover up the newspaper print as well. And then next, the fun of decorating it. After all, it's your fantasy animal. What will it look like? I decided my fantasy animal was just going to be painted all different types of things. So I had purple eyes with purple eyelashes, and of course the cute smile. And why not have some orange wings? Pretty cool, huh? What else would make this pretty fabulous? Well, bright colored spots, of course. Why not? Now, if you don't want to paint your fantasy animal and you have wiggly eyes, or maybe you have some feathers or even stickers, you could do that as well. I just thought painting would be more fun in my case. Miss Wendy's whatchamacallit, three-legged, blue-tailed fantasy animal. Did I mention with orange wings? Pretty goofy. What will your fantasy animal be able to do? Mine spreads cheer and sunshine.